A'udhu billah min ash-shaytanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Okay, the first translation you're using is one of the most popular Shia translations, and the other two are popular Sunni translations. And pretty much all three translations say the exact same thing. They have the exact same meaning to each of the verses, and I don't see them as being different. Like mountains or hills, what's the difference? I know a translator that used to translate for the United Nations and taught language in one of the most prestigious schools in the world, sort of like a Harvard for the Middle East. Now that word in Arabic, correct me if I'm wrong, but means both hills and mountains. Unless you can provide me a word that means hills. If I'm wrong, just show me a word that means hills instead of mountains. Mountains means hills and mountains. So the first translation says God taught. The second one you quote says God revealed. Is this a big mistake too? In one he says taught and another says revealed. Now there's a big difference between taught and revealed, right? So is that a bad translation or dishonest translation, as you say? Like, what's the difference between mountain and hills? There's a difference in the English language, but really you could call mountains hills and you could call hills mountains in English and it would still make sense. So personally, I go hiking in the mountains and I find bees and flowers up there all the time. You must not live near mountains or something, or not live near bees. I was even watching TV and some people from India were going up high in the mountains to get honey from the bees. Now some Christians say it's impossible to read the Arabic Quran because the Quranic Arabic they say is ancient Arabic, which we don't understand today, so thank you for proving them wrong by reading it, as you affirm that you can read it. Now, you see, in the three translations that you've given, the wording may be slightly different, but it's the exact same meaning to each of the verses. Now, when you go to the Bible, Deuteronomy 33:2, one translation says, from the south side of the mountain slopes. Another translation, or another version, I should say, says, from his right hand came a fiery law for them. That's a huge discrepancy. Whereas in the Quran, you're saying like, one says hives and the other says house, and you're saying that's a huge mistake. Well, you're being a hypocrite because in the Bible, there's two different versions, both translated by, born-again Christians led by the Spirit. One says from the south side of the mountain slopes. The other says from his right hand came a fiery law for them. And a good example is in your Bible. Another good example is in your Bible, Isaiah 29:12. Your Bible uses plural, saying some people. The book is delivered to some people who cannot read. That's the Bible you quoted. Whereas all other Bibles that I've ever read use the singular. Okay, and the Jehovah Witness Bible. If you take a look at the Jehovah Witness Bible, you're going to notice huge differences. Another thing, you want to talk about dishonest translations. When you're reading in the Old Testament of the Bible, you'll find the word bowed. Now this word bowed could mean two things. It could mean worship, or it could mean to physically bow, like to get on one knee as a sign of respect. So it could mean worship or just physically bowing. You see, but the problem is there's already another word for bowed. So when you read the word bowed, you know that it's based on one word. And then when you read the word worship, you don't know if it's meaning worship or bowed. That is a dishonest translation. Now, you say God believes that every bee has his own house. It's not saying that, and I don't even think you believe that. It says he taught the bees to build houses. That doesn't mean they each have their own house. So, like I said, I don't even think you believe that. It doesn't mean they're independently living. Now, I was just studying on bees a little bit just to confirm what I already know from biology and other just common sense, just to confirm this. And one thing which is interesting is scientists even use the word house. Now, bees and wasps like to eat ripe fruit. Bees do eat or consume. They eat differently than we do. They don't chew their food. Just like a snake eats small animals, but they don't chew it. If you don't like to use the word eat, then just use the word consume. What it's referring to is they're consuming. They're taking it into their body. Now, honey is not their food, although they do eat honey. Bees and wasps need protein and vitamins, so they'll eat all sorts of things, like nectar from fruits and flowers, and they'll even drink blood from caterpillars. The Quran says they consume fruit and nectar, which in some translations they describe as the produce of the earth. And there comes from them a drink or liquid where there is a healing for man. It doesn't say that they only make honey just to feed men. All it's saying is that a liquid comes from them and it's a healing. Okay, bees actually have two stomachs. One stomach is actually called a honey stomach. That is the word scientists use. They use the word stomach. Like, just look it up. And it holds approximately 7 milligrams of nectar. Now, scientists use the word eat, they use the word house, and they use the word stomach. So, if you're saying the Quran is wrong, you're also saying leading scientists in the field of biology are wrong. They use the exact same words as are used in the Quran. Just go look it up. Just go type in, what do bees eat? And stuff like that. You'll find they use the exact same wording. Okay, now the problem with you Christians is that I find you guys to be very biased rather than just interested in seeking truth. For example, if the Quran said the earth had pillars and the sky had pillars to hold it up, and the earth does not move, you'd say, oh, that's a mistake. Look at the stupid God of Islam. He doesn't even know that the earth moves and turns and is in orbit. But if it's in the Bible, oh, that's okay, it's not a mistake. So I'd like to ask you, and just answer honestly, does the sky have pillars? Yes or no? Does the earth have pillars? Yes or no? Does the earth move? Yes or no? Okay, now once you have decided, Psalms 104:5 says, God set the earth on its foundation. It cannot be moved. 1 Chronicles 16:30, the world is firmly established. It cannot be moved. Job 26:11, the pillars of the heavens quake. Job 9:6, he makes earth's pillars tremble. Psalms 75:3, God holds the pillars of the earth from shaking. Show me the pillars. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. May the peace and blessings of God be upon you. Peace.